you're making your first indie game, this video might save you from some of the exact mistakes I made shipping Sunset Sprout, and some of them are embarrassingly obvious in hindsight. Let's start with the most important one. This is simply the most important advice I can ever give you. I know it sounds like I'm not making any point at all, since all indie devs already follow their passion. That's what made us all want to make games in the first place, at least in the start. What I mean is that many devs eventually get lost in the numbers and what sells and what doesn't and what's the current popular trend and genre, that the passion slowly just dies off and the game starts feeling like nothing but a cash grab and a cheap knockoff of something that already exists. It is very rare that trend seeking pays off in the long term, and doing such a thing always has the chance of making you lose interest, and that's scary. Sunset Sprout started as a tribute to some childhood games most people my age have already forgotten, and with a market so full of Stardew Valley clones, making a farming game that wasn't simply just another version of it was kinda stupid, since it does sell. But I stuck to my vision, and it produced something that I can genuinely call mine. My own version. My own very small revival of two classic games I loved. And it's not just me. So many games came out of nowhere, created a genre or revived one, or simply it was too good to be ignored. And all of them are a product of passion. So many examples exist, recent ones like Balatro, or even older industry defining like Dark Souls. All built and made because the developers trusted their vision and followed their passion. So, follow your passion. And with that foundation in place, here is what to focus on early. One of the main things driving me to make more content for my game was having my small community and their constant enthusiasm and interest in the game. It was contagious, honestly. I don't think I would have changed or improved, and definitely would not have added this amount of quality of life features, not because I don't want to, but because it's harder to see without other people struggling and wanting more out of the game. One of the biggest issues I faced with Sunset Sprout after gaining a community of players is difficulty players faced with the game system, and of course, being the only player for months and the only one that made the systems, I never faced such issues. It took me a while to figure out a way to make proper tutorials and helping systems and quality of life changes, and only with the help of my community. And it would also make it clear what kind of people you're making the game for, as it always starts as a game only for you, but it's really an evolution when other people chime in and have genuine interest in it. My biggest mistake was not really pushing harder to create a community around my game, and it just happened to form very slowly after launch, which is an amazing feeling regardless, but I think it would have made a better game if I had started earlier, which leads us to... This might sound as a stupid point, because of course you would accept feedback, but I think there is a specific balance that should be reached. Some devs always listen to all feedback and do everything requested or suggested by someone, while others never even consider anything but their own ideas and vision. I would say both approaches are bad. Each of them has its own specific downsides, of course. In my opinion, a balance should be struck between satisfying the player's desires for improvement, changes, additions, and full-on reworks, and I would say that I took the balanced way with Sunset Sprout. A nice mix of community requests, friends' advice and suggestions, and my own stubborn vision, guiding it all to fit my standard. Even if I made something that someone suggested, I usually never did it exactly as suggested. I always add my take on it, for better or for worse. Hey, so accept feedback, but always have your vision in mind. This is another obvious one, but what I mean by it is to make a store page as soon as possible. Preferably as soon as you start posting about the game and trying to grow it and expose it to as many different players as possible. A good store page is essential in a more organic growth in Steam, though I would imagine it is equally important on any other store page you have. Building wishlists is as important as you keep hearing, I'm afraid. Though I'm not sure how effective it is really. The market is becoming more and more saturated, and a good store page and assets is the difference between a game that gets a chance and another that doesn't. I have made many mistakes with my own store page. Some are still there, honestly. I can make a video detailing them, so you might try to avoid them in the future. Long story short, I took way too long to finally have a public Steam page, and I didn't have a ready art for the capsules in the game, and any material to show the game in. And it took me ages to actually get the art done and get through the task to finish the store page. So by the time it was done, I was already 4-ish months near my release date, with 0 wish lists and not a single soul knowing that my game even existed. One of the main things I felt after announcing the game is the internal need to have an actual release date, and as usual, I overestimated my abilities and time need, and that put me in a lot of panic and pressure to have something ready for the arbitrary deadline I had picked. Of course, working without any time frame in mind can cause you to be stuck on your project for years. I know a game dev that's been working on the same game for almost 10 years now, without even properly marketing it or focusing on anything but adding content and just working on it without a release date in sight. And that's probably not a very good thing. It's amazing, super impressive, and I hope it pays off for him, but, not sure it will. Or at least he would be very lucky if it did. So I'm not sure how to really pick a decent time frame. You have to find something that might work for you, but don't treat it as a Bible or a holy word. After all, you're an indie dev, making your first or second game. You really don't know how long anything truly takes. It is hard to make such estimates. So decide on one that you like and start working. But it's okay to take more time, or even less time than that, if you think the game needs it to be ready. Personally for me, with Sunset Sprout, I had multiple release dates that I had to move because I wasn't satisfied with the game and its state. But by the time I had reached my release date on November 28th, my publisher had suggested that I move it up a little. Not because the game wasn't ready, but because there was no time to market the game properly, and I refused that. I'm not sure how much of a difference that would have made, but I know that if I had pushed the release date, it would have ruined my morale and made me not want to work on the game anymore. And that for sure would have been far worse than poor sales and publicity. And most importantly, I felt good about the state of the game I was releasing, and getting it out there made me want to work on it even more and keep adding things and features, which resulted in a much better game overall. So, what I'm trying to say, take your time and release your game when and only when you're comfortable with its state, when you're actually proud of your work. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be good for you. And finally, I wish you all the best in your game dev journeys, and I hope you had learned or been inspired by some of the things I had to say. Sunset Sprout was a huge milestone in my career. Although it isn't life-changing, it made one thing clear. I make games, and I like it, and so could you. And as usual, if you liked any of the gameplay you're watching in the video, check out Sunset Sprout and the link in the description and the comments. Thanks for watching.